Hi there YouTube, ACDodd here. Welcome to another episode of On The Road Tuning with me, ACDodd. This one's a little bit different because I'm using the footage for some of the cars I did at the CMC Riviera Run. And the reason why it's different is because I was so busy, I didn't manage to necessarily collect a lot of good quality complete footage. So some of them I've only got the introduction, and some of them are a bit short, you know, when I put it together. So apologies, but I thought I would show the footage that I have anyway. But what I'll do is I'll cut back to me during the video, so that I can tell you what the problem was and what I did to solve it. So yeah, apologies. Normal service will be resumed on the next episode after this one. So hopefully you'll find this interesting. Okay, so this one we got looks to be like a 1275. Yep, it's a late 1275 engine, and popping in the exhaust. And the first thing I noticed is another car with an open vent. So whoever's converted it has put the crankcase breathers on and then left the carb open. So that is a source of problem. So we'll get that blocked, and then we can ascertain whether we can continue tuning. So you might just notice I've changed the coil. We had a 3 ohm coil on there, so I've changed that to a 0.8 ohm coil. We had some 4-prong spark plugs, so I've taken them out, put a new set of BP6ES spark plugs, or BP6Es I should say, gapped at 35 thou. Engine started on the button now, so now we're ready for tuning. So, the little red Mini that we just done, Alex's, he's been out for a test drive. So, what do you think, Alex?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Far more responsive. You put your foot down and you're gone. And it's got so much more torque pulling up hills. You're too scared to put your foot on the throttle.
So, interestingly, you had a little bonus, didn't you? Because we opened the bonnet and we found out that it's actually fitted with one of my carbs and one of my recurve dizzies. So, it just goes to show that even with those parts on, it won't necessarily perform until it's actually been set up properly.
Oh, no, it's a nice little bonus to find, and definitely the man to see.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks for bringing your car along, and I'm glad we was able to make such a difference.
No, that's great, thank you.
Okay, so we've got something a bit different this time. We've got a 6-cylinder Mustang. So having a look at this one, same process applies. So, having looked into this one, we found that the ignition timing I thought was a little bit over advanced. We have 45 degrees at the crank at full in, so I backed it down 5 degrees. I also found that the vacuum wasn't connected, so the vacuum advance wasn't working, which we've done and it's now working. Spark plug wise, the HT leads are all good, so we've only got you know, tested number 1, we've got half a K resistance, which is excellent. Unfortunately, the spark plugs are jammed in the engine. They were too tight for me to attempt to get out. So I've told the owner that he needs to change the plugs, and he was aware of that anyway, to be fair. And then what we're now going to do, get the Lambda up the back and then see how that carb's running. Okay, yeah, so talking about the Mustang, very interesting car. I love old American muscle. In this case, not so much muscle. It's only a straight 6 200 cubic inch engine, so 3.3 litres, auto-light carburettor, which had been rebuilt by the customer. So that was the original carburettor. And what stunned me about this carb and the way the engine ran is the carburettor was fueling absolutely perfectly on part throttle. So yeah, that's a credit to obviously the people who designed it, and obviously you know, the way it was installed and set up. However, the accelerator pump on that carburettor was absolutely dumping fuel. So as soon as you would move the accelerator, your Lambda readings were going from the 9s down to the 6s. So yeah, Niagara Falls was being unleashed every time you caress the accelerator pedal. So what you could see me doing in that still shot there was basically adjusting the accelerator pump, and I was, if you look closely, I was using a hammer. Now, clearly, I was being very gentle, and I told the owner what I was doing before I did it, and I used the hammer more as a caressing tool rather than you know, walloping the linkage. But on that particular Autolite carburetor, there is a tab which you bend, which then you can adjust the amount of stroke on the pump jet. So anyway, I did that and pulled a lot of fuel out of it, and the engine ran a lot better. So it was noticeably misfiring at idle, and I put that down to the spark plugs, which have subsequently been removed when the guy's got it home, and he's found that they do indeed need changing. So we'll cut back to the owner now and see what he thinks of my intervention at the show. All right, this is Dean. So Dean is the owner of the Mustang that we just worked on. So Dean, you've been out in it. What's the difference?
Full response on the throttle. Goes like a, yeah, goes really good with even 4 people in it. It's yeah, completely different car.
Completely different car. Okay. So interesting on that one. We checked the fuel in it. It was absolutely spot on for cruise, which I was really happy with that Autolite carburetor. But what we did notice that the progression and the pump jet was very, 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 very rich. Yeah, right. So thanks to you, because you had a little diagram, I was able to lean that out. And obviously the other thing we found is the vacuum wasn't connected, or it's connected to the wrong port. So it's made a difference. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so next car we've got some Rover Cabriolet, I think it is actually, with a Lamb conversion. So we have the ubiquitous Cooper engine under the bonnet. Listen to this. As you can hear, that's not very happy, so let's get that sorted out. Okay, so the Cabriolet, yeah, interesting car. Just came in, just rolled in like that, and not enough timing and no oil in the dashpot. That's all that needed. I think if I remember rightly, I gave the needle the slightest of tweaks, but in reality, it was just timing and the oil in the dashpot on that one. And then the owner was very happy, so let's move on. Next car we've got 998 Auto. So quick first look, we've got vacuum pipe that's split and come off, and we've got points ignition. So let's dig in and see what we can find. So this little auto, what we've basically done is it had a 3 ohm coil, but it's on a ballast system. So we've changed the coil now, put a ballast 1.5 ohm coil on it. We've got a new set of HT cables, because the ones on it, the resistance weren't bad, but they were just old and original, so potentially suspect in their insulation. And we've put a new set of BP5 spark plugs in and gapped at 25 thou. Also, you notice I've got a new vacuum pipe on there, so our vacuum is now working, and I've advanced the timing by 4 degrees, so we are certainly on our way. The next job now is to get the carburetor dialed in. Okay, so the little auto, we got there in the end, although we did find out in the end our carburetor was a bit worn, so it was having trouble, and it still is having trouble holding the mixture after revving. So in the future we're going to replace this one, but for now we've got a modified AAE needle, and she's fueling a lot better than she was. So let's let the owner go out and see what he thinks. So the little auto, yeah, interesting car. As you can see, you had to have a fair bit of work to it, but the car ran very well after the work. The owner was very happy. The only complaint we had, I think, on that one was the it stalled a couple of times while the owner was out on a test drive. But as I explained to the owner, the carburetor on that was struggling to hold the fuel in. So 1 minute the fueling was right, and then it would go lean and the engine would try and stop. So in reality, this is a good example of what happens when you try and tune a car that's got a worn carburetor. So you can end up with running problems purely because the carburetor is unable to hold the fuel in where you want it. The owner knows that. I explained it to him, So as it says in the video, in the future, the owner will be looking to replace or have the car rebuilt. So let's move on to the next car. Okay, so we got another auto this time. This is there'll be the last car of the show. So let's see what we can do with this one before I pack up. Right, so we got this little auto dialed in. So in the end, we changed the advance curve by changing for one of my pre-adjusted dizzes. Put a new vacuum unit on it. Got the spark plugs. Also drilled the airbox and ended up changing for an AAF needle and then modifying that slightly to get a bit more fuel from 4,000 RPM upwards. So yeah, all in all, this is really good. So we're going to send the owner out in it now and see what she thinks. Okay, so this is Jane. Jane's the owner of this lovely little Auto Mini that we've just spent, in the end, quite a bit of time. We had to put ignition advance curve on it, new vacuum unit, and then we drilled the airbox, and then we put a needle in it, and then we had to modify that as well. So we did everything on this car. But what's the results now?
Much better. The power band between 40 and 50, great. Yeah. You know, can feel there's still more to come. So
okay.
Really nice, smooth pickup.
Excellent. Hill climbing?
Hill climbing, much better. Got an auto box, would have changed down to third by now, but managed to come all the way up to the top in fourth. So
excellent. All right.
And there's still a bit more to come, I reckon.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
So, well pleased.
That's all right.
Money well spent.
That's all right. Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to fix it, and obviously giving you the chance to enjoy. You get the most out of your car. Really, yeah, that's what it's all about.
I think you'll be seeing my club on this time next year.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, so that completes the footage. Hopefully you found that interesting. Customers were very happy this year. One thing I did notice about the cars that I was getting this year is I had a lot of new cars. So actually I did actually less cars than I would normally do. And that's because it took me so long on each car to get them working, because they needed lots of new bits. So, you know, advance curve's been totally wrong. Wrong ignition coils on there, incorrect spark plugs. But interestingly, there was also the other side where I saw people that have watched my videos and they'd fitted the right parts, which was encouraging as well. But there wasn't so many people gapping their spark plugs, which is one of my things which I will try to get people to improve on, is to actually get around and gap your spark plugs. It does make a difference, as you saw in the video I did just before this, which was the 4-parter of the tuning demonstration. Anyway, so as ever, please like, subscribe and share, and if you need a tune up, you know where to come. Thank you very much.